Hello, everyone. Welcome to your practice. We today are going to take what we did last week, if you're with me on Tuesday, and kind of practice some of those same similar concepts and add on to that in terms of being aware of core strength. And I don't just mean abdominals, I mean like the torso. So the core consists of more than the front, also consists of back. So that 360-degree sense of what supports your shoulders and your hips is your torso. We will have a little bit of time to practice our L stands at the walls, which are a great way to build strength in the shoulders, to put into practice what you did to build that core strength, to practice shifting weight into the hands in preparation for handstand. Not to come into handstand fully, but to prepare the body to do that with skill and alignment. So you might want some wall space close by. And if you don't have wall space readily available, I always recommend closing a door and using the back of a door to create that wall space in your home. And to begin, we'll start out laying down on our backs. You don't need to be close to the wall just yet. We'll do that later on. So just go ahead and lay down. Stretch out through your legs, stretch out through your arms. Roll your shoulders underneath your back, make a little bit more space at the back of the neck. Soften the throat. Just start to settle into stillness here. Anything you want with your arms. Maybe close the eyes for a few moments as you connect the breath and the body to this present moment. Let's practice our diaphragmatic breathing, placing the hands on the body somewhere, maybe one hand on the belly, maybe one hand on the rib cage. See if you can feel your breath filling up those places. So I can feel my belly press into my hand. I can feel my rib cage expand into my hand. And then exhale, let it soften. Everything soften. And just try that 3 more times, breathing into the belly and the rib cage. Practice letting it go, letting it rest. Twice more. And from here, we'll start to bend the knees and plant the feet. Take the fingertips just behind the ears to the back of the head, elbows wide and chest is really broad. And then from here, notice if the low back is arching away from the mat. Can you press the low back down? Okay, so press the low back down, keep the low back in contact with the mat to the best of your ability, and then lift the feet up towards the ceiling. The legs can bend, it's okay if they're not straight. Just get a sense of the low back pressing down. See if you can keep that contact. And then just point and flex the toes. And if this is really challenging for you in terms of like getting the legs straight, bend the knees a lot. Keep the low back pressing down into the mat. Low back pressing down, knees are straight or bent, doesn't matter, as long as the low back is pressing into the mat. Right, you get a sense of that core engaging. Now we'll flex the toes towards the face, and everyone bend your knees if they haven't bent already. Start to lower the heels towards the mat with the knees bent. See if you can keep that low back pressing down, make contact with the mat, and then knees back towards hovering on top of the hips. So it's kind of like a reverse tabletop that you're coming back to. Heels move towards the mat. They might tap, they might not. Keep the low back pressing down, and then bring the knees back to hovering over the hips. Low back pressing down the whole time. We'll try this movement a few more times. Heels float forward and down. Knees are staying bent. Low back is staying in contact with the mat. Twice more. And then one more time. And then reach your feet back up towards the ceiling, arms included this time, and just start to circle out ankles and wrists. Low back pressing down into the mat. Breathe in, breathe out. Circle the ankles and wrists in the opposite direction. And then hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze, a little compression through the front body. Maybe rock a little bit side to side. And take the hands to the backs of the knees and start to rock forward towards the tailbone. And then you can rock back if that feels okay on the spine. Moving the momentum forward and backward. A few more times. And then come up to a seat on the sits bones. And we'll continue with this idea of strengthening the core, okay? So hands behind the knees, and then take your knees wide, and then take your triceps alongside the inner knee, triceps alongside the inner knee, and then see if you can press your triceps to the inner knee and squeeze your inner knees into your triceps. So there's equal and opposite force here. Basically, you're in this seated bakasana, right? So the hands are reaching forward and flexing my wrist. It's like I'm pressing into an invisible wall in front of me with my hands. Broadening across the chest a little bit, relax the shoulders down the back. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. We're just going to pause here and hold this isometric strength for 3 more breaths. Last 2. Last 1. Okay, so now we're going to cross our ankles, roll forward to hands and knees, coming into tabletop. So in your tabletop, let's take the fingertips, right fingertips right behind the right ear. Right elbow starts to open towards the side or towards the ceiling. And then you're going to take your exhale to bring your right elbow to your left forearm. Press the floor away with that left palm. Inhale, open up through that right side. Exhale, round forward and down, right elbow to left forearm. Keep resisting the floor away with that left hand. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round and tap. Twice more here. Inhale, open. Exhale, round and tap. One more time. Good, and then right palm down. Left fingertips right behind that left ear. And so that left elbow, doesn't matter how high towards the ceiling it gets. I just want you to get the sense of broadening across the upper back and a little bit of opening through the chest. Okay, and if the rotation doesn't move that far, that's okay. Just sense where you are today. And then on your exhale, take your left elbow to inner right forearm, little tap. Press the floor away with that right palm. Stay grounded in that whole palm as you continue through this movement. Let your breath guide you. So inhale, open. Exhale, that little round and tap. 3 more times. Notice where the weight is in that right wrist. Can you get it distributed across the whole palm of the hand, including the index and index finger and thumb knuckle mound, so the inner hand. And then replace that left palm. Okay, so the index finger and thumb knuckle mound, that's what I want pressing down into the floor anytime you're bearing weight in chaturanga and high plank and an arm balance and downward facing dog. When you think about going to the wall for something like a handstand, this inner knuckle and thumb press down through the mat. A little bit of a pressure through your fingertips too. I want you to actually grip the mat with your fingertips. Can you keep that? Curl your toes under, lift your hips up and back, find downward facing dog, and then walk your feet back and maybe out a little bit wider. Start to shift the weight right to left, relax your head. Find some movement here that feels good to you, what feels intuitive. Just take a moment to sense into what the body needs. Find your breath here in your downward facing dog. Notice if that weight has shifted to the pinky edge of the palm, to the wrists in particular. Can you get the weight forward into the knuckle mounds on the inner side of the palm in your hands? Good. Then we'll inhale, shift forward, find high plank. Bend your knees deeply, send your hips back to your heels. Find this low crouch here, almost like you're gonna shift back into child's pose, but your knees are hovering. And then shift forward to high plank. And we'll do that a couple of times. So you're gonna press into those hands, move the hips back, deep, deep bend in the knees, keep the knees hovering, belly towards the thighs, and then forward to high plank. It was almost like you're coming into child's pose, but it's like the hardest child's pose you've ever done because your knees are lifted and you're engaging your arms and your core. Forward to high plank. Let's try that one more time. Back to that crouch. Forward to high plank. Set your knees down, come all the way to the belly. Walk your elbows forward, find Sphinx. Deep breath in Sphinx. Take your feet a little bit wider. Press down through the tops of your feet. Engage your quadriceps. So feel your kneecaps lift. Press down through the forearms. Lift your heart. Little squeeze in the glutes. Little engagement of the glutes here. Protects the low back. Let's take one more breath here. And then walk the hands underneath the shoulders and press up to high plank. Meet me in downward facing dog. Relax your head in your down dog. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. And then we're going to exhale, shift forward, right knee to right tricep. So you did this last week. If you were with me, connect that right knee towards the tricep. So the inner right knee, you just kind of did that on your back in that seated bakasana, that seated crow. Inhale, right leg extends up and back. Shift forward, right knee to tricep, give it a little squeeze. Inhale, right leg up and back. Exhale, shift forward, and then plant the right foot outside of the right hand. And then come up onto your fingertips. So you're in a low lunge, you're on your fingertips. Sole of the right foot pressing down, move forward to the ball mound of the left foot. Just like you did in your tabletop, left fingertips to the side of the head, left elbow towards the ceiling or out to the side. And then exhale, left elbow to right forearm. Okay. So you're in this low lunge, this variation of low lunge, and you're mobilizing your shoulder blades and your torso and your thoracic spine. One more time like this. And then left fingertips to the mat. Okay, and then we'll step the left foot forward. Turn the toes out, heel bones turn in, and then sink the hips low. You can either come into a low squat or all the way towards Malasana. In Malasana, hips are lower than the knees, right? So hips are moving towards the heel bones. If that's okay on your knees, or you can stay up here in a more of a squat position. Either way, deep breath in, deep breath out. Can you feel that weight in your heel bones? Press down through there and make an attempt to stand all the way up at the top of your mat. Reach your arms overhead. Exhale, bring your feet to parallel underneath the hips. Relax your arms. Inhale here. Exhale. Inhale, arms reach out and up. Exhale, lower yourself back to your squat or malasana. So adjust the feet first, turn those toes out, heels in, lower the sits bones. Then bring your hands down, step your right foot back, then your left foot back, high plank. Bend those knees deep, move the hips back towards the heels, find that crouch. Shift forward to high plank. Twice more, bend those knees deep, shift the hips back, shift forward, high plank. One more time. Okay, in your high plank, knees to the mat, come all the way down to the belly, find Sphinx. Walk your feet wide and press down through the tops of the feet, engage the quadriceps, so feel the knees lift, squeeze the glutes a little bit. Pull the heart forward by pressing into your fingertips. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Curl your toes under, press up to high plank. Downward facing dog. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. So just second side, we're going to shift forward, left knee, see if you can connect it with the tricep. And you know what, if they don't connect, that's okay. You're just moving in this direction. Pressing through the hands, lift your left leg up and back, three-legged down dog. Shift forward, left knee to tricep. Inhale, press the floor away, lift that left leg high. Shift forward, left knee to tricep, and then step the foot forward outside of the left hand. And just get your bearing here in your feet. So sole of that left foot nice and flat, come to your left fingertips, shift the weight forward onto the ball mound of the right foot. See how my ankle stacks on top of my toes. And then I'm going to take my right fingertips right behind my head, elbow towards the ceiling or out to the side. And then we're just going to round forward, elbow towards forearm. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round. It's the same thing we did in that tabletop, mobilizing scapula, thoracic spine, upper back, engaging the core. A lot happening here. One more time through this motion. And then right fingertips down to the mat. We're going to step that right foot forward outside of the right hand and find that malasana or squat position. Whatever position the hips are in, see if you can shift the weight back towards the heels a little bit. Lengthen through the torso a little bit. Deep breath in. With the weight in those heels, breathe out, stand up, top of the mat, reach the arms overhead. And then exhale, bring the feet to parallel underneath the hips, relax the arms alongside the body. Inhale here. Exhale. One more time back through that malasana squat. Okay, so inhale, arms up, adjust the feet. Exhale, sink the hips. Let your knees decide how low you go in your squat, whether you come to malasana or not. And then option here to play with crow pose. We've done it on our back. We've done it in a lunge position. So if you feel like you want to shift the weight forward into the hands, lift the heels. Find that action of knees squeezing to the triceps, right? And then if you're going to bring the weight forward into the hands, remember the strongest part of the hand is the thumb and index finger knuckle mound. So you're rolling that weight inward and forward on the knuckles, engaging your fingertips. You're shifting your weight forward into your hands, okay? So that the feet get lighter, you shift the weight forward into the hands. And maybe you're just picking up one foot at a time, or maybe you're just getting comfortable with shifting the weight into the hands. Whether or not the feet leave the ground, it's okay. Okay. All right, so if you're still in crow pose, whether you're holding still or you're kind of moving in and out of it, let's make our way back to downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Just pause here, breathe, relax your head. If you need a child's pose, take a moment in child's pose. Just feel the texture of the yoga mat underneath your hands, feel the temperature. Whatever part of your foot is on the mat, feel that texture, feel that temperature. So feel yourself really grounded here. Let's take one more breath. And then if you're in child's pose, you can go ahead and sit up. And if you're in downward facing dog, you can walk your feet forward towards your hands and roll up to standing. Either way, I just want you to take a peek at me here. I'm going to walk us through our setup for our L shape, our L stand at the wall. So I'm just turning my mat. So this short edge of my mat where my feet are going to go in contact with the wall. And then I'm going to turn around facing the wall and slide my feet up to the baseboard, whatever it is that you're using. You could also do this on a chair as long as that chair is not going to slide out from underneath you. But so I'm measuring the length of my legs. Soles of the feet are in contact with the wall or chair leg or whatever you're using. And then I'm going to take my hand right behind my sits bone, root down through that hand and keep it there. Or if you have a prop close by, you can measure that distance, but just placing a prop there. Okay, and then I'm going to turn around, plant my hands where I was just sitting. And for these L stands, I like a wider stance with my hands. So I take them just a little bit like outer shoulder width distance apart so I can really broaden across the collarbones and engage my back muscles to press my arms to straight. Remember, we're thinking about shifting the weight forward into the strongest part of the hands, that's the knuckle mounds. Okay, and in particular, the thumb and index finger knuckle mound. Okay, so just watch this first round unless you've got this down. When I lift my hips up, my arms move towards straight. My arms are going to stay straight this whole time. I'm not bending my elbows. Just like in downward facing dog, the triceps spin back, so the elbows spin back and the biceps spin forward. I'm going to keep that in place as I take my right foot right behind my right glute and just give a little pressure there into my right foot, right behind my right glute. I'm not going to walk my feet up at all, okay? And then I'm going to play with that same transfer of weight forward into the hands and add my left foot behind my left glute. Now, if you're watching me, you see that I have my knees bent still, and I'm just kind of looking back to see that my feet are parallel. Again, I'm not walking my feet up the wall, but when I feel comfortable with that, I'm going to press my feet into the wall and move my legs towards straight. I like to keep my neck relaxed and long. Okay, and then hug my navel into my spine, press the floor away really strong through the arms. Pay attention to where the weight is in the hands, and then I'll come down. Okay, so it might be that today you don't get both feet up on the wall. That's okay. Remember, our core concepts are core, engaging the core, and shifting the weight forward into the hands to the strongest part of the hands. Knuckle mounds and thumb and index finger. So let's take a little bit of time to try that together if you haven't already. You've measured your hand distance, the leg distance from the wall. You're going to place your hand right there where that prop is, or you're just going to measure again. So you're sitting down, feet into the wall, and you're turning around, you're placing your hands right where you were sitting. I like a wider stance with my hands a little bit wider than my shoulders, spreading the fingers, get that nice full palm grip, and then I kind of come up to this short, shallow down dog. Just check back in with the hands, the arms are straight, elbows spinning back, biceps spinning forward. Right foot, for me, I feel comfortable with the right foot first, right behind my glute. And then I might play with pressing that foot into the wall and then adding my left foot. And then my knees are bent to start. Okay, I'm taking a peek at my feet here, see that they're parallel with one another. And then I'm going to press my legs towards straight. And then I might relax my head, hug my navel into my spine, nice and strong through the hands, the arms, the shoulders, the core. And then come down when you're ready. Whew. Okay, so let's all come down, just take a seat, roll out the wrists. That can be a lot if you're not used to bearing most of the weight of your body in your hands. So that's why we do all of that prep work ahead of time to get this idea of shifting the weight forward into the hands, something that feels more natural and less foreign. So I'm going to guess that most of us don't spend a lot of times walking around on our hands, right? So it's something to practice and get used to, not something that's going to feel natural right away. Shake out the hands. If you have that wall space nearby you, let's take legs up the wall for our next shape. So I like to get into this by getting into a little crouched fetal position and then roll onto my back, extend my legs up the wall or legs over the chair, whatever you've got around you. Maybe you spread your arms out wide. Deep breath into the belly. Deep breath out. Let's take about 3 to 5 breaths here just to settle. Maybe you close your eyes, relax your jaw. It can be really scary to go upside down if you're not used to doing it. Even though the legs or the feet are staying in contact with something solid, it feels almost like when you're first practicing this, like you might roll forward, like you're going to tip forward over your hands into a somersault. If that feeling is present, most likely you're doing it right, alignment wise. We're trying to get the wrist underneath the shoulders. We're trying to get that to stack. And that's probably going to feel like your hands need to be walked forward, but most likely what I see most often is hands are too far forward of the shoulders. Hands need to walk back in line with the shoulders. So you might have somebody like take a picture of you from the side, or you could take a recording of you from the side to actually check that alignment for yourself, just to see what's actually happening. Let's take one more breath here, legs up the wall. And an option for your last shape, if you want to take a twist at the wall, you can bring your legs, your knees off to the left, that right hip stacking on top. If you prefer to spend some time in happy baby, you could do that. Okay, so either a twist or happy baby. And if you're twisting, start to move off to the second side, either knees or feet off to your right this time, so that left hip is stacking on top. And if you are in happy baby, feel free to explore movement in that shape. Maybe you roll side to side, extend through one leg and then the other. And then we're all gonna start to descend into our Shavasana. We'll take a minute in our Shavasana, start to unwind or come out of whatever shape you're in. If you'd like to take your legs back up the wall for your Shavasana, please feel free. And for this variation of Shavasana, maybe your hands connect to your body, rib cage and low belly. Without forcing it, just feel the breath naturally rise and fall into the belly and the rib cage. Closing the eyes. Relax the jaw. Soften the muscles of the face. Just let it go, let it rest. Please feel free to stay longer in your Shavasana. If you need to move on with your day, start to hug your knees into your chest. Rolling off to a side. Moving through fetal position, pressing your way up to just a brief upright seat. Taking the hands again to the belly and the rib cage. Breathe in. Breathe out. And try 3 more breaths like that into the diaphragm. And then you can bring your hands to stack right on top of the heart if you like. Bowing the chin into the chest. Just take a moment here to feel your heart beating. Acknowledging your effort and your practice with reverence and gratitude. And to all of our teachers, past, present, future, to the teacher within your own heart, namaste, yogis. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed your practice. Please let me know if you have any questions about this. You can always email me, Tessa at Tessa Tovar. It's TESSA at TESSATOV as in Victor AR.com. I'd love to hear from you. What's working? What do you have questions about? What do you want to see more of? And I hope you come back again soon. Take care of yourselves.